Side.
What's going on, people, and welcome to Black Dollar Saturday. Today, I have an amazing guest who is in an industry that is full of opportunities right now in Denver, Colorado. I feel like the opportunities are going to be endless in other places very soon. And I will allow her to introduce herself shortly. What I want to actually talk about first is the Black Boss Summit is coming up. September 10th through the 12th, the Black Boss Summit will be live in Denver, Colorado. If you haven't gotten your tickets just yet, make sure you go to www.blackbosssummit.com and purchase your tickets. We have virtual tickets, but we also have in-person tickets. This is going to be a live weekend. We will have a multitude of events, starting with our very special keynote speaker, Hill Harper, who's going to be on Sunday. We also have Chris Senegal, who is a real estate developer in Houston 6th Ward, who will be a part of our inaugural Pitch Black contest. We allowed over 86 businesses throughout the entire nation to pitch their businesses, similar to what Shark Tank does. And we had a great response to that. We really want to run it again. But our top 6 contestants are actually going to be able to pitch their businesses live. So nice. It's going to be super cool. $10,000 grand prize.
Wow.
So they are going to be able to use that towards their business in any way that they want. So it is going to be our first and hopefully not our last, but I just really want to enforce everybody go get your tickets. This is going to be a dope weekend. Without further ado, Black Dollar Saturdays, as you know, we always bring on a dope facilitator, a dope speaker. And today we have none other than Vonna Davis, who is killing the game on all levels in the cannabis industry. I'm sure she doesn't want me to talk about all her accolades just yet, but it's one of those things. I like to give people their flowers while they're still around. And what you're doing not only in your space, but in the Denver area, but everywhere else is inspiring. And I think it's going to be inspiring to a lot of people that are going to be watching as well. So I'll turn the mic over to you, and you introduce yourself and let the people know what you do.
My name is Vonna Davis. I am a manufacturer and production operator in the cannabis industry. And not only that, I develop intellectual property and also brand development in the cannabis space. So my job is to make sure that recipes are shelf stable. My job is to make sure that products can sit on the shelf with no issue. We follow health department code. We follow FDA code. And I also develop brands. So my job is to know what people want, what people are looking for, develop the brand, and then take it to market.
That's amazing. So, I mean, before we get into what all of that actually means to you, and how you push things forward, the cannabis industry, like, I mean, what drove you to this, one, but two, it's like, I mean, was it something that you were interested in from like childhood, or was it something that you just saw the opportunity and you were just like, this is something that I think I can be great at?
So I would say, to answer that question, the cannabis space was like me just finishing with my ancestors started. I went to school for culinary, food science, and also photography.
Okay.
So I did 1 year in Georgia. I went to high school in Georgia for 1 year. And then I moved to LA and I did 2 years. Unfortunately, my last year of college, I did not complete. Due to personal reasons. But yes. Being in California allowed me to do a lot of internships and allowed me to really get in the space of like Michelin star restaurants, you know, being able to see those on firsthand, just being able to experience the food scene on a higher luxury level. But my father was actually incarcerated for 15 years of my life for conspiracy of drugs. So for 15 years of my childhood, I didn't have my dad. When I didn't graduate college, but I did graduate some trade, and I got some certificates to make sure that I was able and certified to do certain things. I did insurance for 2 years after I quit college. I worked for like State Farm and Progressive. And then one day I just quit my job and I risked everything. And I decided to just see what the cannabis industry had to offer. When I first got into the cannabis industry, I worked with high grade brands. I was the operator and facilitator for that brand, which is currently on the shelves, which is owned by Josh. So you still have to applaud that. But just due to different interests, I separated from high grade brands and I started Drip Beverages, which also sits on the shelf of dispensaries today. And I also became the owner of 3 licenses. So I own 2 recreational licenses in Denver and I own 1 medical license. We operate in a 13,000 square foot facility. And then across the way, which is about 30 seconds down the street, I have a second facility, which is about 3,500 square feet. So my job is to operate 2 spaces, 2 facilities, and a total of 3 licenses. But no, I did not plan on getting into the cannabis industry. It kind of just happened. I thought I was going to be owning a restaurant. I thought I was going to be a photographer. Like my dreams were different. And then somehow God just shifted things to where what something my dad was locked up for is something that I legally do today. So to break that generational curse is more, it's the reason why I stay, right? Gotcha. Like this industry is challenging, especially for minorities.
Absolutely.
The industry is challenging legally and illegally for minorities, period. Gotcha. Right? We settle it there and then we have to conquer that battle. But I will say that it is a privilege. It is an honor and it's ultimately God that put me in this space. So I say alhamdulillah and, all praise the Most High, and I'm happy to be here, but it wasn't somewhere I thought I was going to be.
Just hearing you say that, and I think we had that conversation.
It's my honest answer. I have to be honest.
I think we had that conversation before, and I left that conversation so like intrigued. Like it was intriguing that with your story, but at the same time, it was also intriguing that you lost 15 years of your life with your dad over something that now has been pushed to the forefront in a sense of opportunity and everything else, and you took advantage of that. And do you see that like the code?
Yeah, there's like a parallel.
Absolutely,
it's definitely I that's why I can't call it anything but God, because it's weird, right? Like as a young woman, I inspired being something different, and then I get into the cannabis industry. But I saw it as a privilege, and to be honest with you, like I just saw it as the opportunity to be a vessel. And if I could be anything in this lifetime, I think I'd be a vessel. Something that's able to. You're strong enough to carry a load, like you can carry a whole ship, and you can stand its ground and you can stand up for what's right inside of it, and you can do it honestly. And then I'm a millennial too, like don't get me wrong, the only people I hang out with is OGs. I hang out with people over 30.
As you should.
I am 30. I'm like I said, I am 30. I'm not. I'm 26. I just turned 26 in July.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I got into this industry when I was 21. So legally, when I was able to get my badge at 23 years old, I became a licensed owner and operator. I don't share my story with a lot of people. I call myself an underground. I'm like, as I look at my settings, I'm like the Harriet Tubman of cannabis. Like my job is to just work underground, right?
Absolutely.
Like, so if I do speak publicly, I'm going to be blatantly honest.
Absolutely.
But my job is to do the field work, the work that nobody wants to do. My job is to understand, take the hard lessons, take the mistakes on, and then hopefully I can just teach other people not to go that route or be in a position where they don't have to go that route.
Absolutely. And I think even when we first spoke, and I even asked you, for this opportunity or extended this opportunity, I think that was the biggest reason for me, right? Like just understanding your story, but also understanding that there are people who are trying to take the same route.
Yes.
There are people who are looking to take advantage of the opportunities that are, abundant right now, which maybe at the time when you were doing things, like there were so many bottlenecks, I'm sure of.
Yeah.
Are there certain levels of success that you feel like are in the cannabis industry that you still have to break doors down to? Or do you feel like...
Oh yeah. That answer is never ending. Like one of the biggest entrepreneurs that I study is Oprah. And I remember watching one of her interviews and she was just like, you think you've reached your level of success and then God teaches you that you haven't, and then you reach that new level and then you're never done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about life. So in the cannabis industry, the first barrier that we have to break down, if you want me to be honest,
yes,
is crab in the bucket syndrome. There are enough minorities right now in this industry, and I can say this honestly speaking, to give other minorities opportunity in the industry. But the problem is like we as Black people have to change the dialogue. And when I was speaking on the Zoom call that Brother Jeff was a part of not too long ago, I made this a point. It's something nobody wants to talk about, but I'm going to continue to talk about it because it's my mission. We have to be okay with allowing each other to be successful and not barricading it.
Absolutely.
I have 13,000 square feet. Why don't I have ancillary brands in my facility yet? Because I haven't found the correct network to be able to bring serious minorities into a space of cannabis and say, what's your idea? What do you want to do? What do you need done behind it? How much money does it take? If it takes $30,000 to bring your product to market and I know I'm going to make $120,000 off of it in profit, why wouldn't I do that? Well, it's not the money side, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the side of inconsistency, not following up, going to spaces like this or tuning in on, virtual shows like this and being in settings like this and not taking that opportunity serious. But that exists in any industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you like to do. If you don't take your job serious, you're not going to get there. But I think minorities have also settled with this perception that Black people can only sell drugs illegally. Why? It's in our rap industry. It's in our movies. It's programmed in our brains that when we do, like, look at Power, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're looking at a successful man who has a whole corporation but still deals in illegal drugs. So you're shaping people to believe that either they can't get in the cannabis industry because they're not legitimate enough, or they just don't take it serious enough. So for me, it's about also breaking Black people need to talk to Black people right now.
Absolutely.
We need to leave everybody out, and any minority segment, Asian, Latino, Black, whatever you are, have a conversation with your people. And that's what I want to do first. So I've left out a lot of people like to talk to me about how does it feel to be, in an industry that has a lot of, Caucasians in there, white men or white women. How does it feel to be Black and young and not taken seriously? How does it feel to be seen as a worker and not an owner,
mm-hmm.
even though I have the red badge? How does it? I don't want to talk about that.
Gotcha.
I specifically want to talk about how can I, with 14,000 square feet, be able to give other people opportunities in the cannabis industry, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that we have people like yourself, Brother Jeff, Jice. We have a lot of people, Shay. We have a lot of people that are already doing the groundwork to break that stigma.
Mm-hmm.
That's why places like this exist, right? Like, you're already doing that. So now you have to have people that are going to do the action steps.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing the political part, you're political. Now my job is to be business.
Mm-hmm.
And then political and business have to come together. And then we break barriers together and we uplift together. But we're not connecting those dots as Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we have to take responsibility of. The reason why I get a little nervous to go to speaking events or panels is because I get so excited, right? I go there, I'm like, This is going to be groundbreaking. And then the follow-up, the follow-up is like, what happened? We put so much money, time, flights, people that you could be spending time with your kids or your family. You never know, and you're here. So it's like, why did we all come here and not follow up?
Yeah.
It's not just about putting the perception together. The action has to follow. And so I think as a millennial, that's one thing that I understand that separates some of our OGs from the millennials, right? And it's something that I'm in like a little wedgie of. I'm like in between OGs and millennials, and I'm trying my best in a $1 billion space to connect the two.
I really appreciate that answer, because it not only does it show your passion for it, but it shows that you have opportunity for other people, and you feel very strongly about that. Yeah. And the fact that I feel like there's an old guard here, right? Like, I feel like sometimes, and I don't want to get into specifics. I don't want to get into actual people and anything like that. But I feel like what ends up happening in this industry is you get by one gate and you expect somebody to have an open hand. You expect to reach out, and then it turns into a stone wall.
It does.
And then you get to another gate after you break down the stone wall, and it's like, all right, I'm expecting somebody to do this again, and it turns into another stone wall. I understand, it's not something that you want to dive all the way into, but it's like, when do you see the opportunities being not just opportunities, but actual advancements? Like, is there something do you have a play-by-play? Like, have you sat down with people and said, look, this is what we want to do to get to this next step and offer other people that look like us opportunities? Why does it get shut down?
It's like one word: money. Another one: capital, revenue, money. We don't trust each other. Okay. I work in a lot of different communities, and I look at it as a privilege. I work with Native Americans. I work with Jews. I work with Russians. I work with Muslims. I work with the plethora of cultures. The trust of the dollar bill in the Black community lacks. Okay, if I hand you $50,000 and you want me to bug you about it? You want me to be on you every day? Where's my money? Where's my money? When am I going to get paid? When is this money going to come through? Or do you have $50,000 that can hold you a year and not get paid from a business? If you took $50,000 out of your savings right now and invested into a company, how soon do you need that money back?
For me, I need it ASAP.
That's my question. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have a brand in the industry. I'm in Buddy Boy. I'm in Starbuds. I'm in all the cookies locations. I'm in Golden Meds. I'm in New Amsterdam Organics. I can shout as many dispensaries out. Right now we are currently in 175 locations across the state of Colorado. So I'm in Crestone, I'm in Antonito, I'm in Sedgwick, I'm in places that some cities you may have never heard of. I never heard of them until a dispensary called us one day and was like, we want to carry your product. I have active revenue. Mm-hmm. And still, when I go to get money specifically from my people, it comes with so much. It's like, do you not trust me that I'm going to return your funds? Is it a lack of trust with money in the Black community? And you're right, it is. I mean, in some cultures, when you borrow money, you cannot ask for it back.
Seriously.
And in our culture, when we borrow money, we'll kill each other for it.
Absolutely.
And so we don't trust each other with capital. We don't trust each other giving each other's capital. We don't trust each other with the aspect of money. What I'm trying to do currently to tackle that, and what I know a lot of people are currently doing, is trying to create Black capital investment groups. Okay. And trying to get in contact with Black-owned banks. But again, it's really hard. So what I learned to do outside of money, right? Because that definitely is a way of value, but I learned to see other things as value. So your knowledge, what you know that other people don't know, how you know to apply things in a specific way that other people don't know, that's money as well. So a lot of people ask me, like, how did you get in the cannabis industry? And I think people expect me to say that I pulled a loan, I had $1 million, and I bought my way into my licenses. And the beauty around that is I did not do any of those things. I knew how to cook, which a lot of Black people know how to do.
Exactly.
I knew how to understand the object that there's a grocery store and there's a restaurant. How do I turn a plate of catfish that I would bake in a restaurant into a frozen meal that someone could buy at a restaurant? So I kind of wanted to flip it. I understood the restaurants. I wanted to be a restaurant owner, but then I was like, how do I shelf stabilize what I would make in a restaurant? And then that's when I became, understood the ideas of making a product and then mass producing it. So we, order 50,000 bottles at a time. We order 100,000 bottles at a time. We're doing $50,000 purchase orders to make sure people can get what they need in their stores. But that came from the understanding of supply chain management, wholesale manufacturing, and production. We upscaled that, and now we are what we are. But it just goes to show that, like, you kind of have to, if you want to get in the cannabis space, you have to turn mom and pop's business thinking into corporation.
See, and I love that you mentioned that, because that was going to be my next question to you. And I'll definitely open up questions, to the audience and to people online. But I guess my real question to you was, how did you handle, and I think I asked this to a lot of my, speakers, how did you handle that success in this space so early? Or was it something that, you were ready for?
No, I would say I was groomed for it. I mean, I think when people say you go through things, like you go through struggles, you go through pain, you go through the worst of the worst in life, and you don't know why you go through it at that time. You just really don't. But I would honestly say, like, this is me, like, speaking from the bottom of my soul, everything that I went through led up to the moments of me being able to handle the money, the conversations, the politics, all that at a young age. I was ready to understand what people older than me understood. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm a curious person. My brain thinks at a very fast speed. I want to know everything. I want to know who did it, why they did it, how they did it. I just want to know everything. I'm curious. Like, I think spending time knowing everything allowed me to be able to handle what I'm in, but I had to be a sales rep. I had to be a delivery driver. I had to be accounting. I had to be HR. I had to be a production manager. I had to be marketing. I had to be brand development. And I had to come up with the intellectual property behind what I do, because I never wanted someone to say, I know how to make what she does. So I had to be exclusive. I had to handle it all. Absolutely. But I cared to, because I wanted to be an owner. So if you want to, you have to care how to handle it all. And at a young age, the motivation that I had behind me was like, I lose my dad for no reason. Like, I don't know about, the ethics and the morality that other people live by, but between what I practice spiritually, we don't we break generational curses. That's your job on earth. Even if you're rich and you have all the money in the world, but you lack mental stability in your family, you lack relationships, you lack loyalty, fix that. That's still a curse. You can have all money in the world. That doesn't mean you don't fall in other places, because money is not your definition of wealth. I believe wealth exists in spirituality only. Money can just enhance that. But wealth is in spirituality. So take it very serious when you meet people, when you hear things. If they motivate you, if they inspire you, keep pushing off those people's momentum. It's very important to do that. It's all spiritual. It's nothing else. You attract money by being a good person.
Absolutely.
I believe in bad money. I believe in happy money. I do not like bad money, okay? It comes with a lot. It comes with, heart attacks and other things that we've watched successful people go through. Successful people deal with mental health. strongly as well. We've watched numerous celebrities, commit suicide. So I try to tell people wealth is not, having money is not where it's at. Being a good person, having good intentions, you're going to meet people like myself who are going to acknowledge that, and they will put the money into you. So the whole time you were stressed out about money, you were being a bad person and you messed it up. You should have been being a good person, not stressing about the money. You'll meet the right people. And for me, even the business partners that I fell out with once upon a time, I'm good with everyone now. Like, I am at a young age. I haven't been that great. I had to learn how to trust people. I wasn't as wise as some of the older people I dealt with. I deal with people who have way more money than me. I deal with people who have way more knowledge than me. They have kids. They know how to balance time a lot better than I do. They're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning because they have to. I'm waking at 6 o'clock in the morning because there's a delivery that's going to be there. I may be able to push it back because I'm tired, but I have a lot of people around me that are better than me in so many areas too. So I even tell people, even as an owner, like, we need you. Everyone fills in where you lack, so I say young or old, like, whether you feel like you're older and you can't get into a space because you're older, or whether you feel like you're too young and you can't get in a space, like, just do it.
Gotcha. I completely agree. And I think that you can use that analogy in like all industries, right? Like, it's not just pertinent to the marijuana industry, cannabis industry, or whatever the case may be. My next question, well, I actually want to open it up to the audience. Does anyone have a question for Vonna? You can go.
So as a former business owner in the cannabis industry, I was hoping you could talk about your experience with seeing that change, that revolution. The things that struck me was how many people reached back to me and said, "Thank you for what y'all are doing in Colorado. Thank you for what you're doing in the cannabis industry." Talk a little about that experience and seeing that transformation of people getting off of opiates, people getting off of all of the synthetic drugs that are damaging, people getting their souls back. That's what people said. That was probably the most inspiring thing to me about being in the industry.
The patients, the people who reach out to you, and alcoholism. I make a product. The product that I make, drip beverages. We have numerous product lines that we're releasing, but right now on the market, we have something called Drip Mixer. We were a syrup, but I rebranded because in the Black community, THC, well, let's take it back. Lean kills people.
Yes.
And I was having a difficult time marketing a THC syrup and getting people to understand that I'm not that notion, right? Yeah. So we rebranded as a mixer recently, but the reason why we did is because everything that I just said, I have the privilege to sell a product that's made with alkaline water. So everything that I do, whether it's going to be a gummy, doesn't matter if I produce a product line for another brand, I white label, but my current product is alkaline based. So we test at an alkaline right now of pH 9. We are at 9. I am alkaline based. It doesn't matter what I do, I'll use alkaline water.
Nice.
The combination of alkaline water and cannabis scientifically is something that has not been researched yet because it's still Scheduled 1. But when it does, we'll be ahead of the game in that department. Alkaline water, the body lives off alkaline. It needs alkaline. It cures diseases based on alkaline. So if I can mix anything with cannabis that's alkaline, I'm going to do it. Not only that, but we're sold in a glass bottle. I do not use plastic. I don't believe in it. So my product that sits on the dispensary shelves is a glass bottle. Not only that, but we coat our bottles with edible paint. Why? Because I care. Not only that, but we infuse terpenes back into every single bottle that we use. So I'm food science, but as a cannabis food scientist, one thing that I know is that the body recognizes terpenes. Terpenes is separate than cannabinoids. Terpenes do not get you high the same way cannabinoids do. You can use terpenes. You can buy terpenes on the internet. They are synthetic, they are artificial, but they are somewhat still better than anything else that if you would want to use and have a medicine for. Basically, what terpenes are is they're the medical benefit of cannabis. When you separate THC from terpenes, you separate medical benefits. THC by itself gets you the euphoria. It's what makes you high, right? So when you buy marijuana and they say your flower tests at 27% THC, that means it's going to get you where you need to be, right? If you buy weed at 13% THC, you're going to be like, I don't want that. That's on the low grade shelf. So the higher the THC, the higher you get. The higher the terpene content, the more medical benefits you get. So my job is just not to get people high. And I think that's what a lot of people confuse the cannabis industry with. If they think a lot of people are in this industry to sell a product to get you high and make money off of you. And that's not why I do my job. I do my job because I know if I infuse terpenes back into each of these edibles, you are going to experience medical benefits that you won't get anywhere else. And you're going to do it recreationally. So you're going to be with your friends. You're going to be hanging out. You're going to be chilling. You're going to be having the greatest time of your life. You're going to use my product and you're going to be healing yourself and not even recognizing it. So we infuse terpenes back to each one of our flavors. A lot of people don't know that fruit and vegetables have terpenes. That's why they heal you. Marijuana has terpenes. That's why it has healing benefits. So what I do as a food scientist and where I get deep down into my edibles that separate me from anyone else that's currently making edibles on the market is I break down the science of terpenes behind my fruit. So all of my edibles are fruit flavor, watermelon, pineapple, so forth and so on. I choose the main content terpene in that fruit. I then match it scientifically with terpene and specific strains that are OG. And I combine those terpenes with that fruit. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you an effect of fruit healing and cannabis healing in one beverage. It's alkaline based as well. Not only that, but it's vegan, it's organic, it's non-GMO, it's completely safe. So vegans can eat it, drink it, you can drink it. Right now, the main marketing that we're doing, if you go on our YouTube channel, Drip Infused Mixers, the first recipe that we released was a vegan burger recipe, which basically teaches you how to cook our syrup with burgers, grill with it, put it in drinks, put it in Sprite. That's what you want to do. You know, like you can do anything with it. It's water soluble. So I am one of the only water-soluble beverages on the market right now. The science that goes behind that is $1 million technology. But what we do at my facility is serious when it comes to science, which is why we have full confidence. And so when I have released the product into the industry, we've had people with alcoholism come back. That's very significant. People who struggle with alcoholism have used our product and it reverses that, specifically our plain Jane flavor, which has humulene in it. Humulene suppresses your appetite for anything. It doesn't matter if you struggle with heroin addiction, and I say this with a disclaimer. It doesn't matter if it may not work for you. It doesn't matter if you struggle with heroin addiction, alcoholism, opioids, you name it. It suppresses appetites that the frontal lobe wants to push forward. So your frontal lobe is where you think you make your decisions. So what humulene does, the terpene, is that it basically suppresses your frontal lobe. So if you are struggling with addictions, you want to use plain Jane. As simple as overeating because you overeating for emotional purposes, as something as big as, suicide. I believe that humulene has the ability to suppress all. So our plain Jane flavor has no flavor in it. Why? Because we want to be the opposite of people's addictions. So we don't put flavor in our plain Jane. It's just a simple syrup. It allows you to put it in anything that have a flavor component to it. So we're not adding to the addiction frontal lobe process.
How does it taste?
It tastes great. It tastes like a simple syrup that you would use in anything. It's pretty amazing, but it does suppress appetite. And I don't mean food appetite. I mean appetite to anything that you desire.
Absolutely.
which I associate also with plant humulene. When you digest humulene, the first point that it hits, ironically, is your stomach, which is your first chakra. So I just think it's amazing, and combination of its science and its spiritual effects. So we get a lot of people constantly that tell us how we help them, and how they feel cured of certain things. I have to say it lightly because I work in the industry and I don't want to, how that goes. But we do get a lot of those, and it does make me feel amazing. It's the reason why I deal with the politics. It helps the politics.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Because I know that is a passion of yours. Like, just even having a conversation with you, it's obviously the products are great. The products look great.
We stand behind it.
But it's like knowing that you did the homework in order for this product to be exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily your baby; it's your creation. You know what I mean? Like, and that can go hand in hand, but. That question, thank you. I appreciate that, because it wasn't something that I was thinking, but I know it's something that you really wanted to explain. So
I think what everyone wants to do in their life is be able to. Do you know how good it feels to be able to do like the research my ancestors did, bring it mainstream, and just let everybody have access to it, and they don't even realize what they have access to. I mean, it's like it's chess, not checkers, right?
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions? Come on, Brother Jeff. I know you got one. I saw you writing it down all in your book.
I'm just impressed and just proud of the sister. So I just asking what y'all doing.
Anyone else? Chase, I know you have one. Appetizer present. I guess
But I do have a question. How do you maintain the politics of your industry? It's so political, and in my opinion, cannabis seems like a mistress you don't want to bring out in public. but everybody
knows.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody seems to be making money off of it, but they don't want to stand out in front. Often politically,
say I'm making money off
because of stigma or whatever, or like, how do you deal with the politics of that?
You know what I think about like almost every other day? When you go into any restaurant, you see liquor on the menu, right? Liquor was in prohibition for how many years? Can I ask y'all, do y'all know any liquor owners? Do y'all know anybody that was the first owner of Hennessy?
Absolutely not.
Or vodka?
Absolutely not.
Or tequila?
All right, don't keep going, because we don't. We don't.
Know? What about tobacco? Like, do you know who owns Newport? Do you know who owns, what is it, Camel? Carmel?
RJ Reynolds.
Yeah, who owns Black and Mild?
No idea.
Who owns these
Nobody
companies?
black.
Weed gets you high. If you know your zone, you're good. Alcohol can get you tipsy. If you know your zone, you're good, right? Now, what happens when you take those zones past your own boundaries? What kind of media, what kind of PR, what kind of stigmatism do you deal with? I have had a lot of people try my product and tell me I got too high. I actually had a photographer that I hired out of nowhere to use my product and was like, I don't do that. It gets me. They just don't know their zones. But are you going to go tell the owner of Hennessy that he is wrong for selling Hennessy because one of his customers don't know his zones? No. But the owner of Hennessy, you also don't know who he is to go to him.
This is true.
So what we do is you have faces of your company. You have people that stand for you. You have people that take it for you. Everyone knows it exists in every industry, right? You have people in the forefront. Even the government is the biggest one, right? You have people that play face for you. I know a lot of Black people in this industry that have a lot of private ownerships into a lot of companies, that just won't come to the forefront. I think from the standpoint of Black people still being locked up for cannabis has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you exclude race out of that question, who? You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
You just pharmaceutical companies. Who owns Xanax? We don't know.
Nope.
So unfortunately, cannabis is a medicine. It's people who believe in it on a medical basis, like myself, to do right by it. But believe me, there are people that are doing wrong by it, which I'm sure you know. So it's hard to be that person that wants to politically deal with it in the forefront, because it's still a Scheduled I drug. It's still a drug. It still would take you to a place where you want to come back from if you don't know your limits. And I have to say that honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I make edibles. Do I do them all the time? No, because sometimes I'm too high. Have I ever went to the hospital for it? No.
I know somebody who's gotten too high off edibles. Boy,
It's still what it is. You know, it's like what Colorado, I believe mushrooms is decriminalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean any of us in
Could just
here
go out there and
are
just
going to go do
of-
a mushroom because we may be.
No, absolutely.
You don't know what I'd be on the roof somewhere trying to, I don't know where I'd be. But it's decriminalized.
Yeah.
But what upsets me, what makes me upset personally, is that we all know that Blacks built this country. I'm
Mhm.
talking about literally.
Yes.
From the institutions that folks pronounce white power, white supremacy, and all the different things. This country was built on the backs of Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the early days when cannabis was not legal. It was Black folks at the forefront, building and convincing and cajoling and testifying and opening up the doors. And when the doors came open in 2021,
No opportunity.
we're talking about, yes, there's opportunity, but it's a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the tail end, attempting to catch up, and it is money, but it is frustrating.
It is. It's the concept that I tell people all the time, the flipping the table. So to answer your question, how did some of us get to those forefronts? We used money that was not ours. Those people supported us because it looked good for them politically. I'm supporting minorities, right? Social equity, hoo-ha. That's where your dollars went. You supported Black people who then took the action to lead, but it wasn't our money.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's not our money. So then what happens, right? When you give someone like, oh, I gave you $100 to do what you did, but I still did it, but I gave you the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that concept. So when they give us the money to do things, it's like, I remember my mom used to say, if you're in my house and you don't pay no bill,
You ain't
you
making
under
no
my
decisions,
roof.
right?
I make the rules, I make the decisions. That's how they treat us when they give us money, right?
This is true.
They give us money to help us in certain areas, and they'll be like, but you in my house, so I make the rules. So until you get in the house, the financial house of us.
That's a whole different
So there's
story.
people out here, myself, I'm gonna bust my butt. I'm gonna build as much money, I'm gonna raise as much capital, I'm gonna start as much things as I can to make sure there's a Black dollar. Because what happens when you mix white dollar and Black opportunity? You get a tornado. So yeah, you're frustrated because it's a tornado happening, and you're right, it's happening in front of you, and in front of me, and in front of all of us. It happens in the music industry, it happens in the sports industry, it happens in the cannabis industry.
Absolutely.
But once that Black dollar is the Black dollar, and the opportunity of the Black people is built on that dollar,
It's over.
it's over.
Yeah.
So that's my light. That's my light at the end of my tunnel. I shifted the table. It was a lot of depressive, stressful nights. It was a lot of things. A lot of, am I in the right industry? Am I doing this? Am I supposed to be here? It was a lot of I want to quit. It was a lot of me falling out with family.
Mhm.
I lost a lot of stuff. I've lost a lot of people. I lost a lot of friends being in this industry. I've had people, tell me that I was, because I needed to sit at the table to turn it. A lot of people didn't like that. As a Black woman, I had to sit at the table to turn it, and a lot of people didn't like what I had to do to sit at the table. They would have rather me look at the table forever They didn't what they like. How do you want me to look at this table? You want me to see everything that's wrong with it, and you don't want me to assume the chess position that I have to do to turn it.
Absolutely.
If I looked at the table for so long and I studied each player at the table, I know how to turn it. You don't trust me to turn it. You think I'm going to be like every other black person. You think I'm going to sit at the table that you've experienced, and then I'm going to be conjuncted by the table, and then I'm going to be consumed by their money, and I'm going to forget about you. Because how many times do we get left behind by our own people? But you think that's me. You think because this is cannabis, it's a new venture, it's a new opportunity, there's billions in it, right?
Yep.
I'm going to sit at $1 billion table, and I'm not going to turn it for us. And that's not me. What my job to do in this industry for, I am Russian and black. My grandmother is Russian. She says Russian. She's from Ukraine, but I let her say what she wanted to say. She's Ukrainian. I have marijuana tattooed on me and Ukrainian on my arm. My grandmother died of hepatitis C, but she used cannabis to keep her comfortable. My grandfather passed away August of last year from prostate cancer that he struggled with for 25 years. I bought my grandfather an extra 2 years by having him use cannabis. He was Holy Bible Christian. It took me a lot to get him in his final years to use cannabis. But when he did, I bought him extra time, another birthday, another Christmas, another Father's Day, another New Year. So I stand behind what I do. Now, the science part is checked off, right? Like we know this, we know it sells. We know it's good. We know it's marketable. Now, what I have to do and what we have to do is be okay with people not being okay with us that we have to turn the table.
Yeah, this is true.
And what it looks like, a lot of black people don't like it. That means I have to sit here, sometimes for years. I have to look like the person that's betraying my culture, and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, I'm just trying to understand what others would call a master. You have to master your master. And I don't think a lot of people are okay with assuming that position. It takes
a lot.
No friends, sleepless nights. It takes you to be okay that God placed you in a position that maybe other people can't handle, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do anything on this earth. I think if someone said, I can't be a superhero, right? Like I can't be invisible, but I can master my master, which damn near makes me invisible. So I say that it's about how far you're willing to go.
Sacrifices.
I know people are not willing to go as far as me, but I'm young. I have all my life ahead of me. I'm very specific with how I choose to go about my life and my career. And I'm okay with being the lamb. I mean, I'm okay with that. I think when people look at sacrifices, they look at the lamb as being the bottom dog, the underdog, and it's not. It's the vessel, it's the belief, it's the faith. It's when you sacrifice the lamb, you immediately believe that you're going to inspire this, you're going to acquire this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's who I believe that. So I don't know. Like for me, I know anyone that I give a business opportunity with is not going to have to go through anything that I just described. So I don't want to scare people. I went through that for them. But just to fulfill his question, I mean, once the table turns and black dollars on black dollar, people will feel more comfortable politically coming out and say that they support cannabis. I hope it doesn't take Jay-Z and Beyonce to put on Forbes magazine that they built a hemp farm 20 years later to get people to feel comfortable with doing that.
I swear.
But if that's what it takes, PR, get your bag. But at the end of the day, those aren't the people that are going to fix what's wrong. It's, there's people like yourself. It's the people like Chris, people like Jice, people that are putting shit on the forefront. And they're not taking no for an answer. Those are the people that are getting those 1 million unquestions answered that we have to have unanswered before we can do our jobs. So when we all combine our talents and we all combine what we're amazing at to break these stigmas, we get places. But if right now all of us ended this call and was like, yo, do you or know any Black people that know how to make a lemonade? You was like, yeah, I got a lemonade recipe that knocks somebody's socks off. Brand it, put on the market. Next thing you know, they made $1 million in a year. It's that easy. But do we have these conversations weekly like they do? No. Because when I look at their meeting schedules, I'm like, dang, that's why y'all best friends. Y'all meet twice a week. We only get together once every 2 months. Once a month.
And this shit is real. This shit is so
We don't
real.
combine our schedules. We live our separate schedule and be like, when you got time. And it's like, who? What? That's not time management. So yeah, they meet a lot every Sunday. And the culture that I deal with, they turn their phones off from Friday to Saturday night. That's who I deal with. The main business people that I deal with are orthodox. I respect their culture beyond because I think, wow, what if all of us turned our phone off from Friday to Saturday for our own spiritual purposes, to be able to commune, talk business, just turn social media away and just coordinate with each other and be like, where are we at with this that we talked about last Friday? And Friday to Saturday, everybody knows when people go out and do stuff they ain't got no business doing. So if you cut off your Friday and Saturday, your no business doing days, the days that you use to do stuff you're not supposed to do, and you focused on God. But us going to church on Sunday and then going out to eat afterwards and talking about the people we just saw at church, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
So I think that being spiritual in the realm of who we are as individuals is more important than saying we go to church on Sunday or Wednesday. Let's get together on Sundays. Let's make it a spiritual and intellectual and social discipline to get together and talk about things outside of a round table. Because the most business gets done in restaurants where they're on level 10.
Yep.
I've seen $1 million contracts closed at STK.
Believe it.
But yet we think that we have to sit at a round meeting in this office, and if it's not this and if it's not that, then we can't sign paperwork.
Not at all.
That's what I'm saying. It's not great. Let's be who we are, where we are. The minority is not the minority no more.
Yeah.
And let's flip that. Like we're the majority. Powerful. Yeah. I don't think people know. Like I don't even want to take this conversation to where I want it to go, because everybody in this room right now, just based off the melanin, like if you look at melanin on $1, if you look at how much melanin is per gram, there's over $12 million in this room right now.
Easily. So
I need people to understand Black people are the majority. Your skin complexion alone. I don't think a lot of Black men know. Did you know there's a melanin calculator? You can go and type in like your skin shade.
I've been in the sun a little bit.
How you can type in your weight mass, like how much you weigh, and it would calculate how much your body of melanin is worth. So like I'm worth $2.67 million just in my skin alone.
That's dope. I didn't know that.
Dr. Jeff, I think you'd probably be where.
Oh, he's about 2 billion.
No. He's probably like 5 million.
I need to be in.
5 mil. Like the darker you are, the more money you're worth.
All right, well, how much am I worth?
So melanin is powerful. You one of our lighter brothers, but you still worth at least 1.7.
There you go. See, I'm good with that.
We love them all. But what I just mean to say that by like us just being alive, like us just being here on this earth. Like look at sports. Black people have. Do all you guys know as Black men that you have more bones in your body naturally than any other race on this planet?
Yeah.
Do you know that? Do you know in your legs alone, you have 2 more muscles that allow you to run and jump higher? Not just because your name is Chris or your name is Brother Jeff. It's because you're a Black man. So your science steps before who you are. Mm-hmm. I don't think Black men I don't think Black people realize in general we produce neuromelanin. It's neuromelanin. Not only does your body produce melanin, but your brain, which means that you're able to access and have energy links that nobody on this planet can. That's why rappers and Black sports league, I'm an athletes, and anything Black produces this energy. It's very kinetic, it's very science and spiritual. It's why we still can't figure out how to work pyramids to this day. We're smarter beyond our belief, right? So if we did more together, like imagine if all of our brains worked in one rather than us working against each other, what we could really do. So like, I know I'm in cannabis, and I know people want to talk about you're in the cannabis industry, but it's like to make marijuana products and be cannabis. And it's like 75% of that conversation, I got to talk to people who listen to rappers and stuff like that. And I listen to rappers, which is great. But the other 25% of the conversation is that it's bigger than being in the cannabis industry in an industry that people rap about, or people make movies about, or people get high behind. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because the dollar bill said it's $1 billion industry and my people need $1 billion, and that's why I'm here. Right. So if my science and my knowledge and my passion has to influence $1 billion so we can finally pull people out of where they should have been pulled out a long time ago, then that's what we're going to do. Let's do that shit. But our bottom line is not to have on our tombstone, she was a cannabis owner. Like, nobody cares. This is true. Lil Baby made how much money off of rapping about weed? Nobody cares. My tombstone should say she was a vessel into her community that helped millions of people. Facts. So every day I wake up, I think about what I want my tombstone to say. And a lot of people think that that's dark. I don't. I think that it reminds me every day why I wake up. And if this is my last day, I know what I'm living for. So, you know, I have a different conversation than some people, other Black people in the cannabis industry. They're angry. Mm-hmm. They're mad. They're bitter. They want to talk about slavery and things that have been beat into my brain as a millennial. And I'm mad about it because I don't even talk about that in high school no more, which means it was lies. We already knew it was lies. You know how frustrating it is to go to school, learn about history, and then go home to your mama that studied Africa and tell you everything you just learned in history was wrong. Mm-hmm. I had to literally learn things on accident. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm learning this, and I shouldn't be, but I'm learning this so I can pass a test, so I can look smart. But in reality, this is not smart. So I've always been that curious person. My mom taught me to just be curious because she would be like, that ain't right. Who said that? My teacher? Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It just, for me, I want things to be different. But it's gonna it takes a village, right? Absolutely. And I could get lost in this all day. And that's just because I'm not only enamored with the conversation, it's you. You know what I mean? And I think I told you that before. Like, I need you on this panel. And it's not because it's literally because I know that you understand. And your energy is amazing. And what I will say is, how do we help so that what you're doing is not in vain? And I asked this question with pure sincerity because there's not only the people here, there's the people online, but you have a team behind you, whether you know it or not. And I don't want what you're doing to be taken unseriously. Like, I want it to be taken seriously because I know you mean what you say, and I know that actions speak louder than words. So how do we help you so that everything that you're trying to do is not in vain? I would say, how do we help each other is swallowing the pill of, can we just make it about business? Can I just make you some money for a second? Because I know that we want to deal with these racist issues, and I know we want to deal with these all these things that when it's time for us to be serious about something end up being the reasons why we don't do it. For a second, just for a second, if I told you to put all the dark, all the negative, all everything, the anger, the frustration, everything that you feel and why you can't do something to the side, and I told you that if you just focus on the light, it's going to make you this much money, and then you'll have the capital to solve all that things that you want to solve. If I told you just focus on that for a second, could you do it? And what I learned is I'm not majority, 90% of Black people in this cannabis space that you and I, a lot of people in this room know, can't even do that. So I have to deal with people older than me that are so angry that they don't want to talk about money. And I as a millennial, I guess, when all this money is shoved in your face from social media to what you can acquire if you have this credit score, what you can't acquire, what your parents could acquire, what they couldn't acquire, and you're learning that money does speak to an extent, but no one wants to talk about the money because it's fragile. I want to talk about the money. I want to talk about raising the money. I want to talk about building the money. I want to talk about money. And that makes people uncomfortable and makes them feel like I don't understand the pain, and I do. That's why I want to talk about the money. If I'm telling you I understand that our Black community is so hurt and so missed out on opportunities, and I told you the reason was money, and you want to tell me it's racism, what we going? You want me to go turn all these people racist, or do you want me to get you a couple $1 million so we can do some protests, align some businesses, create some nonprofits, be able to put some money, be able to actually bus our youth to, places, be able to send our youth to Paris, be able to do things like that? You want to talk about it? Yeah. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I went to this school, this minority school that struggled financially, and I said, I got $2 million, we're going to sit down and we're going to figure out how to put these kids in a better position. And then we're going to build a career school. And we're not going to only teach people education, but we're going to also teach them how to build a career. Why are you in school learning about math and you're not learning about what you want to do in life? That's backwards. So if we want to solve all these issues, have the money. But that also makes people ask me, well, why don't you network a little more? Because the way I want to get the money and the way I want to build it is of ethical value. I will also not sell my soul to partner and do things with people that want to give me money, but it comes with more things. But I will say this. I have put myself in a position to have access to money. When I come to people and they say, oh, Vonna, we see how you become successful. How did you be able to do this? How did you be able to buy yourself that? How did you be able to buy land? The first thing I did with my money was bought land. I own 18 acres in Cresto. I didn't go take my money and you want to know I'm going to build on that 18 acres, a minority retreat.
Let's do it.
So I'm already trying, but I feel like I've been trying for myself a little bit. And I guess it's just because I haven't always known where to go. It's been amazing, and God has opened a lot of doors with me meeting you, with me being able to speak in LA on the normal panel, with me be able to speak at Mayor Evers College. Like, it's been amazing with me connecting with us. But I really, like I said, let's have this money conversation just real quick so we can give people the revenue that they need to do the things that they need to do, because unfortunately, they're going to continue to use that against us. We have the knowledge, the ideas, the concepts, the talents, but we don't have the money. What happens if we solve that one issue? They got a lot of problems to solve. They got to solve. I'm not. Shit. You know what? I forgot. I'm online. We're not going to go into what they need to solve, but all we need to solve is money.
Gotcha. And
so if I could put more money into our communities, it goes better, you know? And so that's kind of what I want to talk about, is getting more money into establishments so we can have meetings and do things on the right basis. I don't want to start at letter J. I think I'm okay with starting at A. Like, I know people don't want to talk about certain things. I want to skip letters and numbers, but the only way that we're going to like execute it is talking about the money. And what's sad is I know a lot of people, a lot of Black people who want to give money into our communities, but I have to figure out how to bring that full circle. So what I'm praying and trying to manifest is hoping that I could bring people full circle in my network so we can get money to people in places where it needs to be. And then after those people have their money and where they need to be, then they can fill their cup, and then their cup will overflow.
Absolutely.
And then we can genuinely help each other.
Absolutely. I really, really want to say thank you for taking the time. I really want to say thank you for being transparent. I really want to thank you for being honest. But all in all, I want to thank you for being you. And at the end of the day, like, that speaks volumes. You're more than welcome to come back and talk as much as you want. I want to thank our audience.
Are those comments? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but they're like, I don't know who this is. Like, it's going on and on and on. But you can see Vonna next at our Cannabis in Conversation that will happen September 11th from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Vonna will be joined by Bo Scaife. Vonna will be joined by Wanda James. Vonna will be joined by a few other panelists, Brandon Banks and Kevin Reese. And these are our panel members for the Cannabis in Conversation. Again, during our Black Boss Summit, make sure you go get your tickets September 10th through the 12th. It will be amazing. And thank you guys. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
I know.